Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com, sponsored today by WD-40 Company, and we're going to use two of their products today to answer a question about a product on a tractor that you probably use every time you get on the tractor seat. It's got tons of moving parts, and you may never have thought to maintain it. I hadn't, but we're going to today. Letter comes today from Arch, and Arch says he has a Kubota LA525 loader, and he says in the loader owner's manual, it says under lubrication, to lubricate joints of control linkage every 10 hours. Question is, what's the control linkage? Where are these lubrication points? And what should I use for lubrication? Well, I think what that owner's manual is referring to is the joystick control. And the joystick control is what controls your loader. And it sits there under that rubber grommet on most tractors, and we never think to get in there and lubricate it. I've never lubricated mine, but I'm going to today because I'm hearing a lot of folks that are having problems with the joystick valves. That could either be because they're not lubricating them, and we've had excess rain over much of the country this year, or it could be that some of these newer tractors have a pretty cheap joystick control and they need lubrication more. Either way, we're going to find out how to lubricate one today. Now, if you've had trouble with a joystick, please put in the comments below what the problem was and what the solution was so other people will know, because I've been getting a lot of letters from viewers. Now, on a joystick control, there's some things you can kind of do and fix and diagnose, and then there's some things I would leave to an expert, and we'll talk about that today. Well, first today, here's the joystick control, and there's two ways joystick controls can work. It can either be a lever that's mounted to a valve that controls the flow of oil to your front end loader, like this one, or it can be a long cable that goes to a valve that controls the front end loader. It can be mounted on the tractor like this one is. It can be mounted on the front end loader. So that's the basics. And what happens in one of these, I'm going to pull the cover off of mine to show you just exactly how they work. And look at this, I've got a mess. Obviously this has not been maintained, it's not been lubricated. First thing we're going to do today is give this control valve a good cleaning with WD-40 Specialist Industrial Strength Cleaner and Degreaser. I really like this product. It's environmentally safe, so you can spray it anywhere and not worry about a little bit of overspray. But we're going to hit this good with that to break up the dust and the grease that's on it, give it a good soaking, and then we're going to take a rag and clean it up and show you what's underneath. Okay, that cleaned up pretty darn good for the age it is and having never been cleaned before. Now I'm going to show you how the joystick valve works today, and anytime you're working on something like this, let your bucket all the way to the ground. If your dog's underneath it getting shade and you start playing around with this, that's going to end badly. So we don't want anybody hurt. So I'm going to show you what happens today in this joystick valve. What you normally have is either a triangle or, like this one, a disc with a pivot point in the back. And it's kind of hidden right now from the joystick. I'll show you another shot of it here. This is the pivot point right here. When I move my joystick lever to the right, that's pushing this rod down into this valve, and that's changing the hydraulic flow from not flowing to flowing down the line to the top of the cylinder on my bucket. And so that's going to make the bucket tilt down. When I move it to the left, it's pulling this rod up, which is going to put the oil to the bottom of the cylinder, making the bucket curl back. Same thing with this other rod here. When I move my lever back, it's pulling up on this rod, and that's making the flow of oil to my cylinder go to the back of the cylinder. Let's see, on this one it'd be the front of the cylinder, pushing the loader boom up. And so when I move it forward, it's putting the oil to the cylinder, making it go the opposite way. So that's basically how a joystick valve works. Now, if you have a failure, a lot of times it'll be in one of these components right here, because they get a lot of use. You know, every time you drive your tractor into your barn or you park it for any amount of time, I always recommend letting the loader down to the ground. So number one, the tractor doesn't roll off, and number two, if somebody's underneath it and it gets bumped, nobody gets hurt. So every time I get on the tractor, I lift the loader up to go forward, and every time I stop the tractor, I push the loader valve down to let the boom all the way to the ground. So this gets a lot of use. Now, to answer Arch's question, these components here should be lubricated every 10 hours, and we're going to do that today. But 10 hours, if you lubricate it every 10 hours of engine use, you're going to be lubricating it all the time. But I think what the owner's manual means is every 10 hours of loader use. So if you're out on the loader, you're using it all day long to move dirt, yeah, it'd be good to peel this boot back and lubricate everything here. But if you're just using it, once every 3 or 4 weeks, you're not going to get 10 hours of use on it very often. And when I think about how I use a loader, if I hit this twice a year with lubricant, I'm probably good, because I really don't use a loader that much. The product we're going to use to lubricate this today is WD-40 Specialist Gel Lube. There's a couple things I like about gel lube. Number one, it's no drip, so it's not going to go over everything. Wherever you spray it, it's going to stay there. Number two, it works into these components here and gives you really good lubrication. And number three, it prevents rust up to 1 year. And so if I'm only lubricating this once or twice a year, this stuff's going to be in there keeping these components from rusting. So we're going to go ahead and hit everywhere we can with this product. Now I'm going to wipe off what didn't get where I wanted it to, but that, you can feel a difference in how that works. And that's going to keep that protected for up to a year. And I really like how that stuff stays where you spray it. Again, that's WD-40 Specialist Gel Lube, no drip. You need to have that on your workbench and use it for this. There's a lot of other stuff you can use it for as well. I use it on my pallet forks to let them go back and forth on the rail. Well, that really feels a lot better. Now, if you have a failure in this mechanism, if the failure is in these components here, anything that's not inside the valve, you could probably fix it yourself. You'll have to order the parts, but you can take it apart. The joystick comes off, these components come out, and you can order new parts to fix them. If it's inside the valve, if it were me, I would take the valve off and let the loader all the way to the ground. You'll have to unattach all of these lines and take it physically off the tractor, but take that to a hydraulic shop and let them fix the valve. If you look inside a valve, and I'll put a shot up here, I think this is like maybe a Bush Hog brand valve. There's a lot of O-rings and springs and stuff in there. And if you're a novice mechanic, and I consider myself a little above novice, but not much, I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to take that to somebody who knows what they're doing. So if your failure's up here or in a cable, you can replace that. If your failure is down here in the valve, I'm going to take that to somebody that's done service on hydraulic valves before to get that repaired. While I'm putting this back together, I'd like to put a plug in for my sponsors apparel website. WD-40 has been on my workbench almost since birth. My dad used WD-40 and we swore by it. I've always had it on my workbench. And until recently, you couldn't get WD-40 branded products like you see me wearing on my website now. But now you can. If you would like to get WD-40 branded products, and they're a great gift idea for the do-it-yourselfer. I don't know whether I'm going to get this together or not. There's a rod that sticks out there that locks everything in place when you're working on the tractor, and it is a booger to get around that. But anyway, there's how you do it right there. If you'd like WD-40 branded products, go to wd40.customink.shop That's wd40.customink.shop. And you can get caps and shirts. Makes great gift ideas for the do-it-yourselfer that loves WD-40 as much as I do. If you've had joystick issues this year, tell us what it was. Was it a linkage? Was it a valve? How'd you fix it? And where are you? Are you in an area that got a lot of rain this year and maybe that's what caused the failure? Or maybe the joysticks are getting cheaper. Hope not. If you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'd be honored. Click the mic face icon and check the bell so you're notified when I post future videos. Here's a link to my website and the Tractor Fun Store with unique items for the tractor enthusiast that help support my channel. And here's a video about the basics of hydraulics. If you got a lot out of this video, watch that one. Thanks for watching.